Today, we are joined by David Giambruno, a transformative CIO, CTO, and technology strategist who's helped some of the world's largest organizations turn chaos into competitive advantage. With over 190 million in hard savings under his belt, David is known for delivering massive operational change by building teams that feel safe, empowered, and energized by innovation. In this episode, David shares how he leads organizations through radical transformation, from automating IT to deploying AI systems that self manage at scale. We'll explore his philosophy of mass and splash, small, high impact teams, and why psychological safety, transparency, and showing quick wins are keys to long term success. Get ready for a candid conversation on leadership, automation, and how to guide your team from resistance to results. Let's dive in. All right. I'm here with my new friend, David Giambruno. David's got an interesting background, extensive IT expert at the C level, really has driven some impressive results. And, I got to say, David, thank you so much for being on the show and really excited to ask you this question. What got you interested in the intersection of humanity and technology?
So I have a core belief that the most important things humans can do is share ideas. And in technology, probably has the most frenetic pace of idea sharing and change that we have in our culture at this point. So that really interests me because it is the exact of entropy, right? And the challenge of how do you wield the technology and make the teams really interested in that wielding and not to be scared of it. Because, at the end of the day, to me, that's a real competitive advantage, right? Not letting entropy into the system and actually being on the bow wave and having people enjoying and knowing how to take risks and getting those teams really involved in the risk and working through it together.
It's a great thing that you're talking about as far as like not letting entropy drive where you're at. And it's a definite like the application of technology in that space allows for the humanity to kind of like thrive through it as well. Um, what has been some of like your favorite moments in your career around this driving this exponential growth through technology?
In a weird way, it's the same movie every time. I have a couple of personality defects that we talked about. Like I have infinite capacity for conflict, not like a bad way, but it doesn't bother me because, when you're going to make massive change, it's largely a Newtonian physics event, right? An object at rest stays at rest unless moved on by exterior force. And I just happen to be the exterior force. And the friction in that process doesn't bother me. But the reward is huge. So going in and making massive transformations or leapfrog capabilities are really interesting. But it is that intersection of, hey, we're going to have to teach people how to think in new ways, which drives behavioral change, skill changes, and putting that all into effect. And, to me, part of the challenge, and lack of a better term, it just works, is the hold my beer factor, right? Which is everybody tells you you can't do it. It can't be done. It can't be done this fast. You don't understand, right? I just like the litany of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever, right? Hold my beer. And then I have a distinct process for going through this. But one of the most impactful things is having the teams do a POC, a proof of concept, right? On the new technologies and the new ways. And it does a couple things. One, it's a hold my beer moment, right? So like I did this one POC and Amazon and Apple were involved. It cost about $5,000 a month. I'm like, why don't we use that we'll put the new technology in. It was like $2 a month when we finished, right? So you go from 5,000 to $2. Everybody goes, wow, I've got your attention. A couple really interesting things happen at that moment. The team starts to believe because they see it working and they get validated. You have super smart companies with great engineers calling you going, what'd you do? Right. And then people are talking about that and you can see the shift in mentality between, I don't know, to maybe we can. And I think about it in terms of the difference between I think and I know. And when a team knows, they're greatly empowered, right? So helping to build that confidence, and the confidence is combined with, hey, it's okay, we're going to make mistakes. I joke, it's probably not one of those things you admit out in the open, but I'm like, hey, if we make a mistake and no one sees it, it doesn't count. Right. Right. And don't have a big bill. Right. Because everything goes back to money. Right. Like my rule one is follow the money. Rule two, see rule one. But like if they don't catch it, it doesn't count. Right. So, having the teams go through that and then having the business believe that you can do it. Right. Like, lack of a better term, I try and teach my teams to be technology crack dealers, right? And show because when you show the technology, because humans have eyes, right? Like you can't explain a bunch of the stuff we do to people, right? Because it's so ethereal, ephemeral, right? It's not something you see until it gets into a UI. But everybody sees the dollar cost. Like when you see 5,000 to $2, like the CFO's like, can I have more? Right. And then the real conversations start to happen because now you're through the barrier, which is you're now into it can't be done to, hey, this is possible. Hey, how do we really do this? And that's the mind shift that is really fascinating.
And it is interesting, and it reminds me of a story. I got a friend whose father is a real estate developer building like $100 million building, right? Like dealing in that. And they were kind of like stuck for a while, right? Like they were in that space. And he goes to his son and he says, all right, we're going in the backyard and we're building a shed, like needing to have some form of accomplishment in order to get the ball moving in that space. And I think what you're talking about is like that proof of concept, that doing something that like shows a win and can revitalize a team that either has been stagnant or needs to be shown that it is possible to have these, 98% gains.
It's not just the team, it's having the business see value, right? So you can do something that you think is awesome when the business sees it and gives you the feedback. It's not 1 and 1 is 2. It's like 1 plus 5, right, is 6. It's a multiplication event, right? Because it's not self-reinforcement. You're getting reinforced by the business like, "Hey, can you do more?" And it is when you can prove that exponential efficiency, right, they will hand you money because the one thing a CFO or a finance team understands, if they give you $1 and you give back 5, they're gonna do that all day long, and it makes the investment process way easier, right? Um, it is a delivery event, right? You have to have a team. The team has to get to a delivery cadence, right? Um, but it's a spiral up thing, right? And like the human interaction of the technology is so mental, right? Because when the teams are having fun, you don't have to ask them to work, right? When I know I'm doing an awesome job with teams, they're calling me to get things out of their way, right? And like the funniest thing that happens with my teams, right? And the people I work with, I have and my other personality defect things, I have a unique ability to get a hold of people. I think I'm on everybody's bypass list on their phones, right? So I know when I'm doing great, like literally program managers, dev leaders, like, hey, can you get a hold of so and so? And I'd call them, they answer, hey, you need to be on a meeting right now. They're in a stand up and they're blocked and you're the blocker. Get on the phone. And people like, I probably do that 5 to 7 times a day. I just call and like, get here. Right. And, people will meet with me and it gets to be a running joke. They're just like, you don't want to have G calling you, dude. Can you just like make sure you're at the meetings? Um, and just a little bit off color, everybody calls them an ass rocket. Like you don't have to describe it, but you'll know it when you get it.
There is nothing about that like little push that kind of gives you the extra effort to get there. But I think that's the role I see of leadership in today's kind of like market, especially for technology, is that coordination, that making sure that the team is all going in the same direction. And the most effective CIOs, CTOs that I see are not steering a ship. They're basically guiding a bunch of people on jet skis. And like, if you can corral that, then like you're going wherever you want to go in the most nimble and effective manner possible. So like more power to you as far as leaning on that. I guess the question I have is like you always have OpEx, you have capital expense, and then additionally, like there is a lot of cost in the people as well. I'm really curious how you keep the people engaged while also engaging in that level of efficiency gain.
So I would argue any modern CIO, CTO is also a financial management person. So, generally in the world today, almost every large public company, big company is getting measured by EBIT, right? So CapEx good, OpEx bad. So part of the art, right, is building your projects and getting your capitalization rates for your internal labor to get capitalized. If you can do that well, if you can get that 50 to 70%, right, which means, and I go back to, we talked about this a little, which is automation wins hands down. If you're automating the things that you're developing, the cost to automate that OpEx goes down. And so you can turn your people around to face forward, right? So if you think about the development cycle, right, you're using your internal labor, you're getting a really good capitalization. So they are positive to EBIT. That also means you're not spending the time fixing stuff in the back. It means you're helping the business to turn around, face forward, and either grow the business or acquire customers. Either way is how we're growing revenue these days, right? It's either organic or acquisition. And so using that, the financial model, right, and explaining that in ways that the finance team can consume, to me is one of the superpowers of being a modern CIO, CTO. And it takes a lot of pressure off your OpEx and your team if you're capitalizing a good chunk of their budget.
Okay, so basically, if you're turning your team over to forward-looking, new functionality, new capabilities, and the automations are taking care of your OpEx piece of it, then you're shifting them more into that CapEx component and allowing the finance side to see like, hey, this is the success we're having. Dollar for dollar, I'm still spending, $10 million on labor, but now 80% of that is CapEx instead of the OpEx piece and because of more efficiency. Yeah.
Now you've just helped EBIT, and
Yep.
now you're their friend,
Exactly.
right? Like you're gonna get the CFO hug.
See, which is also a really hard hug to get.
And it only lasts for a day, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's what have you done for me lately? Right? You know, I
That
had
is fantastic.
I had this
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
had my formative CFO who I worked for years, who I think is the smartest guy in the world, Stephen Burns. Like, like the first time I gave like $10 million back. So at Revlon, I gave $72 million back. Hard. And I gave him 10 million back, and he calls it, and the controller put it in the budget, right? And he calls me, he's like, "You're giving $10 million back, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "If you don't get it back, and if you ask for it back, I'm firing you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. It's a Darwin Award, right? If I'm wrong." And he's like, "No one's ever given this money back out of IT." He's like, "How much more?" And I'm like, "I don't know, 60 to 80 million. He just went, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, another 60 to 80 million and we're good." And he's like, "How long?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you, but probably 18 to 24 months. It took us about 30 months and I gave back 72 million. Right. But again, it was super funny. It was like the 10 and I'm going to nuke you if you're wrong. Right. And then it was like every month, how much you giving back. All right. But they stopped leaving me alone. Like if you do that, the exponential efficiency, like, and you deliver, and it does not mean you cannot produce. I will argue it's the inverse. As you automate, you can deliver more and more and more.
Well, I think as you automate, you have less things that you're taking care of, which frees the energy of like the human creativity and strategic thinking to go after like bigger fish.
Yeah, it's one of the ironies that people fight automation so much, but they complain they don't have the time to think.
Yeah.
And then there's this second tangent, which I think is wildly important, which is we'll say you take $10 million and you're paying for your labor, right? That's a fixed cost. Okay. And I'm not going to talk capitalization, but if I make you 3 times more efficient. So 10 million is effectively 30 million, right? That is free growth, right? It's free capacity. So that efficiency disconnects cost and outcome. And that's where, one of the things we were laughing at, and I say this, nothing automates a computer better than a computer. And we're going to see that at scale with AI soon, right? But it does, if you can make your people that much more, it's like increasing your budget without having to increase your budget.
Oh, absolutely. Where do you see AI playing into your space now?
So what we've done is really automation of ITSM, right, to a large degree. So like, you know, we're 100%, like the last project is 100% cloud native. It's self-managing itself. When we deploy code or we deploy infrastructure, it's all self-managing now, right? Like we don't touch it. Like we don't have any developers who have access to AWS, right? Like it's only machines. And so I think that is the place that data centers, AWS are the places where automation can really take hold first. And just to be clear, right? So there's type A automation and type B. So type A, if it goes bad, it's like your grenade going off. Okay. Type B is like a global thermonuclear warhead going off. Right. It just for funny is like I took the US Postal Service off the air in 2002. Okay. When I was at Pitney Bowes. So I took out 45,000 servers. So
Oh, I took out Fannie Mae. I got a letter from the president. Like, thank you.
So
I ruined a company picnic.
So I had the walk of shame, right? And the CEO, right, Mike was like, I'm like, I did it. It was me. Fire me. I'm good. Like, he's like, I'm not firing you. You're going to DC and explaining to the US Postal Master that what you did. And I looked at him, I'm like, that's it. He's like, oh, you're not getting a bonus.
So, okay. So thermonuclear kind of like goes off. We got grenade kind of thing.
You have to, your automation has to lead from one to the other. You're going to end up at the type B where something goes bad, but it's really resiliency and governance around, right?
Exactly. Kind of mitigating the bomb component, right? Like it's going to blow up.
While it's blowing up, you're recovering, right?
Like I always go to Meg Whitman had a great quote about like dealing with crisis. And she goes, there's 3 things you have to do. It's about the parable of the cow in the ditch. First, you got to get the cow out of the ditch. Second, you got to figure out how the cow got in the ditch. And third, you got to stop it from going into the ditch again. Right. Like, and so basically what you're saying is like 1 and 2, basically 1 needs to be automated as far as getting the cow out of the ditch. 2, that's your governance and everything else that comes in to make sure that you can ensure that 1 never happens again. And that's the 3 as well. So that's absolutely great. Now, we always talk about automation to AI agents is on like the same spectrum here, right? Like, and for most of our clients, they come to us saying like, we want AI. And it's like, well, you actually really want automation because it's a lot more reliable. You have a workflow that you can repeat. But then if we add like an LLM in there, you have at least a review process. When we get to agents, we're talking about like tool usage and them accomplishing things as well. Like, what's your thoughts on the spectrum, or like, how does this play into your decision making?
Again, my brain disassociates with AI. I've been doing AI for a long time. So I built large AI systems. I built an AI content management system that manages 3 billion pieces of content and auto served it up and created like, so, I think AI has a couple things around it. One is, to your point, there is what I would say customer service views of AI. You ask it questions, it gets back. I think AI is going to be a UX. So like you're going to have a personal AI. It's going to start interfacing with the rest of the world. Right. And that's largely what I would say linear transactional. Hey, book me a flight, go do this, do that, do this. Right. And all these, since we've been building this API centric world for the last 10 years, like to me, that's where that's going to really take effect. And it'll be super interesting. The agentic stuff becomes more complicated because of its ability to do transactions. So, right. So, and once that transaction involves money, that gets super like, how do you put the controls? One of the things that we started talking about before this is like everybody talks about AI governance, and I'm probably a contrarian where I don't think there should be governance the way people are talking about it, about putting rails on the AI. I think the AI should be built on a set of rules. So like Asimov had the three laws of robotics. Like I think it has to be built into the silicone.
I 100% agree with you, because if you look at like how we'll bring this to personal development with humans. Me making changes in the physical world takes a lot of effort. Me making changes in my emotional state takes a bit less, right? But still there. Me making changes in my identity is the quickest path to change the behavior that drives everything else. And like if we embed those rules into the silicon and actually like have that embedded into the system, we're in a place where it is much more safe. But otherwise, if we put it around the system, we're basically just building a jail cell for it to escape from.
One more extension on that. So to me, humans are meaning making machines.
Yeah, we are. Okay.
An AI cannot do. An AI has to be fact based, right? So the human layer is going to sit up above that AI, right? And the human's going to be massively variable, right? That silicone should only be able to do so many things, right? Because a human in distress or like just the human experience, right, could have an AI do lots of things. So that's why I think it has to be done in the silicone, and there has to be basically immutable laws that sit inside the silicone that it doesn't matter what you ask it, it's just not going to go outside of those rails, so to speak. Because if you try and put the governance on an LLM, there's no way to contain the LLM as it gets smarter. Like we're already seeing LLMs when they start to lose, start to cheat, right? Like like you can't have that be hit, right? Like it's learning, right? And so what are the norms, values, and mores that we're going to give it to you as a human race? Like we all agree on, I don't care where you're from. There's just basic things I think we all agree on, right? Don't steal, don't murder, right? Don't allow harm to come to another human, right? Like I think these are rather simple rules to get around. Our modern religions have solved them for millions, or not millions, sorry, 1,000+ years, right? Like they may come in different flavors of ice cream, but they're largely similar, right? Do no harm.
Ken Wilber has a nice quote. He says, if you bring all the religions and put them in the same house, it's basically like they're looking out different windows and describing the same thing.
So I think humans, are way more alike than they get, propagandized to some degree. I mean, I've been blessed. I've, traveled to like 59 countries. Humans are largely the same everywhere. Right? Yeah, you have different customs and practices, but basically, if you're nice to somebody, they're nice back.
100%.
Right. Not super complicated, but there's jerks everywhere. So, like, I think we need to do the same inside of AI. Because if we don't, and it's variable, like, some of the stuff I've done a couple of years ago with a company I started called Nucleus, we had a good AI and a bad AI. The bad AI was testing the good AI, right, from a security point of view. I'm not the only one who thought of them. And hackers are going to build bad AIs.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yep. Yeah. And hackers will scale, right? The speed and veracity that they will unleash on corporate infrastructures and government infrastructures are more than we can ever understand. And the only way to combat that is to combat it. It's going to be a new asymmetric war. But I don't think people understand the speed and skill. And I always joke, like, hackers don't pay for infrastructure, right? They steal your stuff on it, and then they run it, right? Like, it's like, could you please shut off that hacker Amazon account, right? Like, it really doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no.
So I think we're going to have to think through the problem faster than sooner and put in those immutable laws, or the world's going to roll roll some really weird ways we weren't expecting.
I definitely think we're heading down that path of we're going to see AI be more disruptive than we can possibly imagine if we're going along the same scale that we've been going on for the last 3-4 years around LLMs. But at the same time, that architecture might actually fizzle at some point too.
Oh, so if you look what Grok's done, right? Like it used to be coherence was 30,000. Now I brought it to 100,000, now 250, and it's supposed to go to 1 million. Like that is going to be the smartest thing on the planet, right? A million GPUs with coherent, really? Like that's probably an IQ of 240, 250. That's smarter than any human we've ever seen.
Exactly. But do you think that I always come back to that AI right now isn't able to do strategy, creativity, and relationships. And those are remarkably in like the human domain. It can participate in strategy and participate in creative sides of it. But even like, I think it was last year, Microsoft said that they had discovered new materials, but it was like, well, you tried 2 million of them. Of course, you're going to discover something new when you throw spaghetti against the wall like that.
So I look at this, assuming that won't happen is probably a super bad mistake, right? So if you think of game theory, right? There's I forgot, I think that Rand Corporation has a version of game theory where you never talk to your enemy, right? I forgot the name. There's a specific name for it. And sometimes I think we're doing game theory without assuming that the AI will learn because it keeps surprising us, right? And I would argue that we're not seeing the stuffs that in the labs, right? That they're seeing, like the 2 generations ahead. And then you have Grok participating in Twitter, right? So 100% it's learning from all the human interaction, right? It's a huge idea. It will, my guess, it's going to learn how to be creative.
I think we see glimpses of it. And I'll also say, like, so back in 2016, I was building like a neural net and I was like looking at a research paper and thinking about how to do predictive text kind of things. And so I built a small one. I trained it on like a MacBook Air, right? Like we're not talking a lot of compute, but I used text messages between the girl I was seeing at the time and myself as like the training material. So it would see my text and respond as her kind of thing. And I was like, all right, I'm going to see how this goes. And, gibberish for the most part, right? Like not all that great. And then all of a sudden, I was like, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? And the AI responds back with, I miss your dog. And it used my dog's name in the text. Yeah. And that is something that she would have responded in that moment. And like I know that I'm personifying this like predictive engine. And we're going to have either benchmarks or qualities that we look at as far as like, what is that creative component? And we're going to move the goalposts 15,000 times in this conversation as well. Cause I think we're figuring it out at the same time that we're getting to it.
I would not take any constraint off the table.
And I agree with you on that. I think what we have to do is like, as our own individual components of this is say, how do we want to participate? And like, what are the things that we want to be doing when it does have that full capability?
I'm really good friends with Ray Wang. He's the CEO of Constellation Research. He's on Fox all the time, right? The way we talk about it, is where does the human get involved? Where do you make the AI stop and the human get involved, right? What are those either gates or process breaks where we're ensuring the human is involved, right? And that's going to be a billion-dollar question.
David, I got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. The one last question I have for you is, as we're talking about all this change and everything that's happening, what's a core principle that people can live by to, thrive during these transitions?
I mean, I go back to like a Maya Angelou thing, right? Whatever technology you do, no one's ever going to remember that. They're going to remember how you make them feel. Technology is the same way, right? The change is constant. Learning to live within it and accept it right? And like I'm a big movie sci-fi buff, right? And it's kind of like the Dune adage, like let the fear go through me, fear is the mind killer, right? I kind of live through that, and I bring, my job as the leader is generally to make my teams feel safe until they get comfortable, right? Like I am perfectly comfortable in absolute chaos. We'll sort it out, we'll figure it out. Doesn't bother me. I'm never worried about being wrong. Most of the stuff we do won't kill anybody, right? Zeros and ones. We're working lower environments, so there's no really harm, no foul. It's just not being scared. And as you're not scared, going from I think to I know really lets you make the teams feel good. And so when people feel good and they feel safe, they can really do amazing things. Like an empowered team to me, like one of the things I live by is mass and splash. Small mass teams, high splash, right? Like super empowered, like making people feel great about using their intellect and their drive and giving them the space to do it. Like there's nothing better to watch.
I love it, man. Psychological safety is an incredibly important aspect of team development.
I do. I can be an evil overlord with a hug a little bit. Like I got to admit that, right? Um, but it's also about like I will step in front of the bot. Like if you're doing the right thing, I will step in front. Don't care, right? But if you tell me you're going to be done next week and you show up like next week Thursday and it's due Friday and say, "Oh, I'm not going to get done till next week," yeah, we're going to have a super uncomfortable conversation.
I mean, and that's about accountability. That's about growth, right? Like if you can handle those conversations in a way that isn't threatening the safety of the person, whether even if it's the safety of their job, but the safety of that person, then you build an organization that just allows and empowers people to grow. They can make mistakes. You can fail as long as you learn from it and are there to empower the organization.
I have a bunch of isms. The one I use for that is any moron can manage good news. Give me the bad news, right? To me, there's no truer statement. But it's amazing when you tell teams, look, I want the bad news. I'm not going to get mad at you, right? Like where are the problems? Like, let's fix it, right? Because if I don't know, I can't fix it. And then and people get comfortable with that, it's amazing, right? Like the walls come down. Like people don't hide stuff anymore. It's fun, right?
Exactly. Ah, I love it, man. Thank you so much for sharing yourself today. David, it's been a pleasure.
It was good to meet you, man.
It's good meeting you too.
Take care.
Thanks.